What's going on, everybody? J-How here, and in this video we are going to cover set dungeons. Now first, what are set dungeons? Then we're going to show you how you can kind of get there if you don't want the spoiler, and then we're going to cover every single set dungeon and how to get there. Now you might have already noticed there are buttons on each side of the screen. If at any point you want to switch to another character and say, hey, I want to see where that set dungeon is, then by all means click on that and find out exactly where it is very, very quickly. So first things first, what the heck is a set dungeon? A set dungeon is there that presents a set of challenges for a 6-piece set for each character. Now each character has 4 6-piece sets, which means that with 6 classes, you have 24 different set dungeons. They have a set of objectives within the inside, and once you complete those, you will unlock the mastery for that set dungeon. Now, a few quick things about the set dungeons is that the only way you'll be able to get into that dungeon is by having the 6-piece bonus active on your character. That means that you'll either have to have 5 pieces with a ring of grandeur, or you need to have all 6 pieces equipped. Now, completing a goal gives you one primary objective. There's the mastery once you complete all objectives within the time limit. And a key note for hardcore heroes is that even if you die in the set dungeon, you will not lose your character. So you are welcome to go out and try this to your heart's content. And lastly, it says game difficulty has no effect on dungeon difficulty. Only you will receive credit for completion. So those are a few things that if you're trying to play with friends and all of that, those are key things to remember going in. So first, the spoiler alert. Now, this first tip I'm going to show you is that if you want to do this on your own, I'm going to show you how to be able to figure out where to go. Now, there are clues that are left. I'm not going to tell you what those clues are for or even what they are, but I'm going to tell you how to get at least the clue, so if you want to figure this out on your own. So if you want to figure this out on your own, you need to go to Leoric's Manor Courtyard. In patch 2.4, the right side of the stairwell that has always been blocked off by rubble is now open. You'll go through there and you'll fight a series of monsters in this new content area in patch 2.4. Once you make your way through, you'll actually get to Leoric's library to be able to see a tome. That tome is the tome of the set dungeons. Now, in order to be able to get a script off of this tome, you actually have to be wearing a 6-piece bonus. Now, having that 6 pieces will give you a clue for the set that you're wearing. If you come in there with a different set on, you'll get a different page from that tome. Once you read this, you'll be able to take this and be able to check out the clue and find your way and figure out your way where to go. Now, I'm going to get into all of these set dungeons after this, so anything beyond now is a huge spoiler if you don't want to know any of this information. If you're looking for all of these set dungeon locations, that's what will be presented next. So first up, we have the Barbarian on the Immortal Call. Now, what you'll do is you'll go to the ruins of Seshron. You can hit that waypoint and run in. Once you go in, simply veer off to your right, and you'll have that portal open up for you, which is the Dungeon of the Immortal King's Call. Once inside, you'll be given a series of objectives. The maps and objectives are going to stay the same so that you can prepare. Now, you'll have to kill enemies, you'll have to kill every elite using that set bonus, and then you also have to maintain Wrath of the Berserker. Kill all the monsters and complete all the objectives within that time limit will give you that bonus. That time limit starts at the bottom, and you will have exactly that amount of time to go through and clear out the Dungeon of the Immortal King's Call. Then we've got the Might of the Earth set, and this one will be in the city of Caldeum. You'll take that waypoint and work your way through a series of bad guys and get all the way to the entrance to Belial. However, you're going to stop there because just off to the side, you'll find that portal to the Might of the Earth dungeon, which is simply listed as Set Dungeon of the Might of the Earth. And once inside, the objectives that you'll be given will say that you need to be able to kill monsters without dying, trigger leap, then ground stomp, then earthquake in under 6 seconds 7 times, and then freeze and kill at least one enemy every 10 seconds for 1 minute. Do all that and complete all the objectives within the time limit and kill all the monsters, and you will unlock the mastery for the Might of the Earth set. Then we've got the Raekor set, and if you go to the right of the Survivor's Enclave, you can simply go to the Overgrown Ruins. You'll go down this path and make your way all the way to the portion right before you get to the Blood Marsh. Once you make your way through there, through a little passage area, you will find that it will pop up the set dungeon for the Raekor set. Now, this is the set dungeon of the Legacy of Raekor, and this is where you're going to find the set dungeon for the Barbarian set here. Once inside, you'll have to kill all the monsters without dying. Then you have to hit X amount of different enemies at once with a single furious charge. Lastly, you'll also have to hit X amount of enemies with the Raekor set bonus with that damage amplifier. Do all that at once and complete all the objectives within that time frame, and you will be able to unlock the mastery for the Raekor Set Dungeon. And for the Barbarian Wrath of the Way set, this is an easy one to get to because you'll go to the Pandemonium Fortress level 1, and then you're going to walk backwards. Get up the steps, walk your way back to where you need to go, and you will unlock the set dungeon for the Wrath of the Way set. Once inside, you'll have to kill monsters without dying, rend different enemies multiple times, and then you have to make sure not to take physical damage for the duration of the dungeon. Kill all the monsters, complete all the objectives, and you will unlock the mastery for the Wrath of the Way set for the Barbarian. Looking at the Crusader and the Akkhan set, you'll simply need to be in the Bastion's Keep stronghold. Go over to the right and make your way to the Armory. Once you're there, you'll go through the stables and you'll find that at the back end of the stables is going to be the set dungeon for the Akkhan set. Once you're here and once you're inside, you'll have different objectives that will allow you to go through and be able to kill all enemies without dying, be able to use Condemn on 10 different enemies multiple times, and then kill enemies while imbued with Akarat's Champion. Kill all the monsters, complete all the objectives within that time frame, and you will unlock the mastery for the Akkhan set. Looking at the Thorns of the Invoker set, you'll simply need to walk right outside of Tristram and then hop on Overlook Road. Yes, the road at the very beginning of the game, and you'll actually walk back up it. There's a little nook off to the side, and once you're there, you'll be presented with the Dungeon of the Thorns of the Invoker. Once inside, it will be your job to kill monsters without taking damage, get hit by a bunch of spears thrown by Blood and Moon Clan enemies, kill elites while standing in Consecrate with Iron Skin active. Complete all of those within the time frame, and you will unlock the mastery for the Thorns of the Invoker set. Looking at the Roland set for the Crusader, you'll simply take the waypoint to the road to Alcarnus. Now, once you're there, you simply run down to the bottom left where you see that trail normally goes back, and there you'll find the set dungeon of Roland's Legacy. It's a very easy one to find without very far to go, but you might run into a bad guy or an elite that's sometimes parked there, so be prepared. After you're inside, you'll be presented with the task of killing a bunch of monsters without taking fatal damage, being able to hit different enemies with sweep attack multiple times, and to be able to spend 300 wrath within X amount of seconds. Complete all of these, kill all the monsters within the time frame, and you'll unlock the mastery for the Roland set bonus. Looking at the Seeker of the Light set, you'll actually make your way to the Ancient Waterway in Act 2. Once you make your way there, you'll go to the Waterlogged Passage. It's a very short walk from there before you get to the next exit. But you're going to stop there because you will soon be presented with the set dungeon for the Seeker of the Light. Once inside, you will again have to kill multiple enemies without taking damage, be able to cast Falling Sword multiple times within a short time frame, and then be able to not get hit by a single mortar. Complete all of those objectives and kill all the monsters within the time frame, and again, you will unlock the mastery for the Seeker of the Light for the Crusader. Looking at the Demon Hunter, you're going to be making your way to the Wortham Chapel Cellar in Act 1. Work your way through a few enemies, walk right outside, And just outside the cellar, you'll actually be presented with the set dungeon here for the Natalya set. Now, once inside, you're going to be presented with different tasks. That is going to be killing X amount of monsters without taking damage, fatal damage. Then you're going to need to be able to maintain a constant rain of vengeance. Also, do not take a single point of damage. Yes, you heard me correctly. Do all that, kill all the monsters, and complete all the objectives within the time limit, and you will unlock the mastery for Natalya's Vengeance. Looking at the Shadow's Mantle, this one will take you a little while to get there because you'll have to get through the Pandemonium Fortress level 2 because this one is located in the Pandemonium Fortress level 3. Go right through that gate and you will instantly be presented with the Dungeon of the Shadow's Mantle. In the Dungeon of the Shadow's Mantle, you'll have to kill monsters without taking fatal damage. Then you have to kill every elite with Impale, which is multiple elites. Lastly, you have to avoid all arcane damage. Kill all the monsters, complete all the objectives within that time frame, and you will unlock the mastery for Demon Hunter's Shadow's Mantle set. For the Demon Hunter's Unhallowed Essence set, there's two ways to get there. You can either go there from the city of Chaldeum, which you go through from the beginning, or you come from the Howling Plateau waypoint. Once you come down either end of those paths, there's actually a corner to where they connect. Go to that bottom right corner in the little nook, and you will unlock the set dungeon for the Unhallowed Essence set. And when you're inside, you're going to have a lot of monsters to kill without taking fatal damage. Be able to hit multiple enemies with multi-shot several times, and then never fully exhaust your discipline, and do all of that and kill all the monsters within that time frame, and you will unlock the mastery for the Demon Hunter's Unhallowed Essence set. For the Demon Hunter's Marauder set, you're actually going to make your way to the Bridge of Corsic. You'll have to fight your way through some enemies because you're actually going to go to where that large trebuchet is. Go either right or left around the early part and then make your way to the middle of the map, and it's that little ledge that hangs over the lava. The tip for this one is pretty explanatory and probably the easiest one to find. Here you will find the Dungeon of the Marauder. Inside the Marauder's dungeon, you're going to have to kill enemies without taking fatal damage. Keep up a minimum of 3 sentries active for the duration of the dungeon, and then do not allow a single enemy into melee range. Do all that, kill all the monsters within that time frame, and you will unlock the mastery for the Demon Hunter's Marauders set. For the monk, you're going to walk straight out of the hidden camp in Act 2. Here you'll be in the Chaldean Bazaar. And if you remember saving all of those poor souls, you'll actually work your way in and hang a left first way in. There you'll find the Flooded Causeway. Once you go in the Flooded Causeway is where you will find the Set Dungeon. Walk yourself down a little path, and before the next exit, just kind of hang a right, and there you'll see the Dungeon of Inna's Mantra, and this is where you'll find the Set Dungeon. For the Inna's Mantra Set Dungeon, again, you have to kill multiple enemies without taking fatal damage. Unleash your Mystic allies when there are multiple enemies within 10 yards, and you have to do that several times. Lastly, don't get frozen. Do all that in a certain amount of time, and kill all the monsters while you're there, and you will unlock the mastery for the Inna's Mantra set for the monk. For the Raiment set for the monk, simply go to the Old Ruins waypoint, and then just simply walk to the left. That's the left of the map. Once you're there, it'll pop right up the Dungeon of 1,000 Storms. Inside, you've got to kill lots of bad guys without dying. You also have to make sure not to get hit by a single projectile from the succubus inside. Also, you have to reach the golden chest at the end of the dungeon in under 2 minutes. Be able to do that, kill all the monsters, and complete all objectives within the time limit, which surely, if you're completing it in under 2 minutes, then you'll be able to get there. I guess that is just reach it, and then you can go back and kill everything else in the other 2 minutes and 30 seconds that you have. Be able to do all that within the time frame, and you will unlock the mastery for the Raiment set for the monk. For the monk Sunwuko set, you actually have to make your way through the Silver Spire level 2 to be able to get to the Pinnacle of Heaven. Once you get to the Pinnacle of Heaven, simply veer off to your left before you fight Diablo, and there you'll be presented with the Set Dungeon of the Monkey King's Garb. In the Monkey King's Garb Set Dungeon, you have to kill lots of bad guys without dying. You also have to maintain Sweeping Wind for the duration of the dungeon. Lastly, you have to use your decoys to hit 20 different enemies in 6 seconds, subject to change, and you have to do that multiple times. Do all that, kill all the monsters in a time frame, and you will unlock the mastery for the Monkey King's Garb for the monk. For Uliana set for the monk, you simply go to Act 5, hit the Survivor's Enclave, walk straight up to the north, and hit the Zakharum Cathedral. Make your way through, say a few prayers on the way, and then veer off to the left. Once you're here, you'll be presented with the Set Dungeon of Uliana's Stratagem. In the Dungeon of Uliana's Stratagem, you'll have to kill several monsters without dying. Kill 21 different enemies with Exploding Palm multiple times, and then make sure and take no fire damage for the duration that you're there. Do all that within the time frame, and you will unlock the mastery for Uliana's Stratagem for the monk. For the Spirit of Arachyr for the Witch Doctor. This one is in the Dalgur Oasis. Now this one might be a little bit troublesome to find, but it will be on the left in a little nook that looks like what you're seeing on the screen. It veers off, it's going to be on that far side, so if you're having trouble finding it, that's what you're going to be looking for. Make sure and have that 6-piece bonus equipped, else it won't show up for you. Inside, you've got to kill some bad guys without dying. You've also got to lick a bunch of them. What? Okay, yeah. And then lastly, you've got to kill every elite while under the effects of piranhas and spider queen. So make sure you've got that down because you've got to kill a handful of them. Be able to kill all the monsters and complete those objectives within that time limit, and you will unlock the mastery for the Witch Doctor's Spirit of Arachyr. For the Helltooth set, you're going to make your way through the Royal Crypts in Act 1. Here, you'll probably have to fight a lot along the way because this is actually at the very back right before you get to Leoric. Once you go through and fight your way through, you'll be presented with the Dungeon of the Helltooth Harness. Inside the Helltooth Harness dungeon, you've got to kill some bad guys without dying. You also have to kill multiple enemies with a single Wall of Death multiple times. Lastly, don't take any poison damage. Kill all the monsters, do all those objectives within the time frame, and you will unlock the mastery for the Helltooth Harness for the Witch Doctor. For the Witch Doctor's Jade Harvester, you're going to go to the Gardens of Hope first here, and then go backwards to the Vestibule of Light. This is where Act 4 initially started. You'll walk back down the stairs, go all the way to the back from where you first entered. Go through a few shadow bad guys that can't really do a lot to you, and then go all the way back to the corner. And once you're there, you're going to be presented with the dungeon for the Raiment of Jade Harvester. And once you're in the Jade Harvester dungeon, you've got to kill lots of bad guys without dying. You've got to be able to harvest 25 different enemies at once, multiple times, and then you also have to kill enemies that are afflicted by both Locust Swarm and Haunt. Do all that and kill all the monsters within the time limit, and you will have the mastery for the Jade Harvester set for the Witch Doctor. For the Zunimassa set for the Witch Doctor, you simply need to go to the core of Ariat. We're all probably fairly familiar with running down this hallway. You'll have to fight some bad guys along the way who you probably have seen before, and once you're there, where it hooks to the right is actually where you're going to find the Set Dungeon for Zunimassa's set. In the Zunimassa's Set Dungeon, you have to kill enemies without dying. You also have to grip several of them with the primary zone of Grasp of the Dead. Lastly, you have to not allow a single enemy into melee range. Kill all the monsters, complete all those objectives, and you will unlock the mastery for the Witch Doctor Zunimassa's Haunt. For the Wizard Delsere set, you'll simply walk right out of Bastion's Keep Stronghold and walk right into the Sky Crown battlements. Here, you're going to make your way down the bottom right path and kill all the enemies in your way. Once you're there, it's going to be in the bottom right corner or the top right corner, depending on how you're looking at it. And this is where the set dungeon is going to be for the Delsere's magnum opus. Inside this Wizard Set Dungeon, you're going to have to kill enemies without dying. You're going to have to slow time several enemies at once, multiple times. And then lastly, you've got to reflect projectiles throughout the duration of it. Kill all the monsters, complete all those objectives within the time limit, and you will have unlocked the mastery for the Delsere's Magnum Opus for the Wizard. For the Wizard's Firebird set, this is actually going to be in Act 2. However, you're going to start at the Archives of Zoltun Kulle and work your way back to the Desolate Sands. This is going to be the quickest path to be able to get there. Once you go through that portal, you'll simply be back out into the Desolate Sands area. You'll cross that bridge that we've all been across multiple times, especially on those rifts. And just outside of it to the north, you'll find the Dungeon of Firebird's Finery for the Wizard. Inside the Firebird Set Dungeon, you've got to kill lots of enemies without dying. You also have to set lots of enemies on fire within a short time frame multiple times. You also have to kill enemies with the meteor that revives you. So that means you're going to have to take death intentionally with the Firebird set because that's what's going to give you that meteor that drops down. Be able to kill all the monsters and complete all objectives within that time limit, and you will achieve the mastery. Now keep in mind that the Firebird's death and the revival does not count as fatal damage, so don't be afraid to go in there. After that, you will die, so be careful. Do all that, and you'll unlock the mastery for Firebird's Finery for the Wizard. For the Wizard's Tal Rasha set, you're going to go to the Old Ruins in Act 1. You're going to go down that path and go down Old Tristram Road. Once you make your way down that path, in the bottom left corner, you have that pit to where you go where there are bodies hanging. You simply look there at the bottom left and you'll have the Dungeon of Tal Rasha's Elements. Inside the Tal Rasha's Set Dungeon, you have to kill enemies without dying. You also have to kill multiple enemies with all 4 Tal Rasha stacks up. Lastly, you have to make sure not to be hit by a single exorcist. Kill all the monsters, complete all the objectives within that time limit, and you will unlock the mastery for the Wizard's Tal Rasha's set. For the Wizard's Veer set, you actually have quite a hike. You have to go to Rakkus Crossing in Act 3. Once there, you have to work your way all the way down. If you have an Aether Walker and teleport, this is one area where you might want to use it. You'll go there, and right before you get to Siegebreaker, you'll go up the left staircase, and there you'll be presented with the set dungeon for Veer's Amazing Arcana. In the Veer Set Dungeon, you have to kill a lot of monsters. You also have to be able to reach a high amount of stacks multiple times to be able to do a ton of damage to kill all those enemies. Lastly, you have to kill enemies whilst in arcane form, and that is a large number. So you're banking on Veer's set here to be able to stay in Archon stage and to be able to do lots of damage because that is a high monster kill count. Kill all the monsters, complete all the objectives within that time limit, and you will unlock the mastery for the Wizard's Veer's Amazing Arcana set. So in this Diablo 3 video, you are presented with every single location for every set dungeon. Now with that being said, there's going to be future videos for every set dungeon to show you some tips and tricks for strategies if you're having trouble with them. So if you're not subscribed, be sure and do that now and be able to check back for those videos as well as other Diablo 3 and gaming content. So if you liked the video or you got something out of it and you feel like hitting that like button below, that's always appreciated. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Be sure and subscribe for more content, as well as share this with your friends who might be struggling to find these locations as well. Till next time, guys, happy hunting. See you again.